Hey there, Deluxe fans. Hope you're feeling particularly magical today. In today's video, we're going to be discussing Pixar's Turning Red. More specifically, though, we're going to be discussing the exact cause of how Mei Lee's grandmother, Wu, got the obvious scar on her face. And it turns out the relationship between Mei's mother Ming and her grandmother Wu might hold some dark secrets to their relationship and overall family past. Pixar's Turning Red gave us all a look at the life of Mei Lee, aka Mei, as she began to experience puberty and discovered that all of the women in her family are cursed with the ability to transform into giant red pandas. Throughout the film, we got to see how Mei learned to deal with all of the changes going on in her life and with her body, while she also learned to deal with generational trauma passed down from her mother. From the beginning of the film, we get the appearance that Mei sees herself as a very independent person who only does what she wants because she wants to. Despite her strong independence, though, it's made clear that a lot of what she does is to keep her mother proud and happy, however. Mei's mother Ming is shown as being a very overprotective and strict parent who wants everything around her to be perfect. This goes double for Mei, as she wants her daughter to live the perfect life, like getting perfect scores and grades in school so that she can grow up and be the perfect person. That's why we see Mei constantly struggling with the inner battle of wanting to be herself and not wanting to disappoint her mother. And at first, a lot of fans wondered why Ming was so strict when it came to her parenting techniques, but it was all made clear as soon as we met Wu. Wu was Ming's mother and Mei's grandmother, and the first time we hear from her in the film is when she gave Ming a call to confront her about Mei's transformation. And I think Ming's reaction to the phone call says it all. Right in the middle of giving a speech about wanting what's best for Mei and how she should love her mother, she is silenced and cowers in fear on the couch as Jin tells her that Wu is on the phone. Ming was literally trembling on the couch at the mere mention of her mother. If that doesn't tell you how much she feared her own mother's disapproval, I don't know what will. Ming is only made more nervous after Wu insisted on helping with Mei and the ritual to remove her panda spirit. This, along with Wu's arrival into the Lee household, made Mei's mother very nervous and fans very curious as to what happened between the two in the past. This curiosity was only piqued more when Wu appeared on screen for the first time, and fans got a good look at her face and the clear scar that was going across her right eyebrow. At the sight of the scar, fans couldn't help but wonder what might have caused it and whether or not it had something to do with the clear rift between Wu and her daughter Ming. We managed to get a small idea of what might have happened from Mei's father Jin, but it wasn't detailed and never explicitly mentioned the scar. Jin explained to his daughter that when her mother transformed, Ming's red panda was much larger than everyone else's. She says that she used to get into a lot of trouble with her mother Wu, which was actually something that Mei was able to relate to with her own mother at the time. It's also mentioned by Ming herself when we saw her in the bamboo forest in the spirit realm. She had a distraught look on her face and tears in her eyes as she told Mei that she lost control once and hurt her own mother. Now that line can be interpreted in many ways, such as an emotional sort of hurt, but it's more likely that Ming meant that she physically hurt Wu when she was a red panda at one point in her past, and ever since, the scar likely served as a stiff reminder to Ming of what could happen if she lashed out against her mother. It's something that likely brought her a lot of shame and possibly even made her feel like a failure. It's clear that Ming had a troubled past growing up, and her relationship with her mother was rocky at best, and sadly it's something that she almost passed on to her daughter Mei. And it's likely that a big reason their relationship was so tough on both Wu and Ming was because of the scar that Ming left on her mother's face, even if it was an accident. There are a lot of details throughout the movie that support the idea that Wu's scar on her face came from Ming, and how that may have affected Ming and how she treats her own daughter. We mentioned before that Mei feels an intense amount of pressure to make her mom proud. Well, did you happen to notice how far she was willing to go to make sure her mom wasn't upset with her? If you take a look at Mei's stash pile that she kept under her bed that Ming ended up finding, you'll notice that along with the flyer to Tyler's birthday party and four-town plan, Mei had also hidden anything that had a grade on it that was lower than an A. That's how much she didn't want to disappoint her mom. She would rather hide the few B's that she got than to show her mom and risk getting scolded. Even if Ming didn't do it intentionally, she was still putting a lot of pressure on her own daughter, and the movie seemed to point to the idea that it all stemmed from her own relationship with her mother Wu. In Turning Red, it's obvious that Ming is uptight, but that gets taken to an entirely new level as soon as her mother became involved. Not to mention the fact that she didn't want Wu's help in the first place. That's why she didn't call her to tell her that Mei had transformed. Ming was so intent on handling the issue on her own that that's definitely because she didn't want to face her mother and risk disappointing her. But you can't help but wonder what Ming was so afraid of, right? I mean, sure, we can tell right away that Wu's a very overbearing and uptight person, especially when it comes to the curse of the red panda. But it feels like there's more to it than that. Something that would haunt Ming for the rest of her life and would make her so intent on being the perfect daughter and mother, and something that would cause both Wu and Ming to fear the red panda more than anything else. For instance, shortly after Mei's grandmother and aunts came to visit, Mei pretended to go to bed so that she could sneak out to Tyler's birthday party. However, she was briefly stopped by Wu, who wanted to warn her of the side effects of transforming. With a horrified look on her face, Wu explains to Mei that the more she turns into the red panda, the more control she is giving it, and eventually it could take over her. You can tell that Wu was truly afraid of the red panda, which would hint that she had a bad experience with one. And the fact that the red panda that she had a run-in with was Mei's mother, Ming, is supported by the next thing she told Mei. Wu said, "Your mother and I were close once, but the red panda took that away. I couldn't bear to see that happen to you," which sounds like sweet advice from a concerned grandmother, but she quickly follows it by sternly demanding, "No more panda!" Ming also mentions hurting her mother, as we said before. While she was in the spiritual bamboo forest, Ming tells Mei that she hurt her mother. She said, "I got so angry and I lost control," insinuating that in a rage she let a red panda out and it ended up attacking Wu, probably in a way that was similar to how Mei attacked Tyler, only with a lot more destructive power considering the size of Ming's red panda form. This brings us to our next point. Ming's red panda seemed to be a lot different from that of her family members. Right away, the first thing we noticed was how large she was. Compared to everyone else, Ming was a giant in her red panda form. She was literally the size of some buildings, which we plan on discussing in an upcoming video, so be sure to stay tuned for that upload. But more importantly than her size was her aggression. Sure, Mei had an angry side when she would become a red panda, but everyone has an angry moment now and again. Ming seemed different. Her red panda had the rage-filled look in its eye the entire time it existed, and even after it separated from Ming in the spirit world. This implies that the spirit that she was bonded with was more aggressive than the ones that bonded with Mei, Wu, and the rest of her family. And the rage or aggression inside of Ming's red panda form, paired up with its massive size, would mean that it could easily have overpowered Wu and caused that scar on her forehead. Even in her red panda form, I doubt that Wu would have been a match for Ming. Now, with all of that being said, we did mention that nowhere in the film does that outright tell us how Wu got the wound that caused the scar to form on her forehead. While it does make the most sense that it would have come from Ming during one of her fights with her mother, there are a few other possibilities. For instance, there's always the chance that Wu's scar came from one of her other children. All of Mei's aunts had red panda spirits bonded with them just like the rest of the women in their ancestral line, which means that any one of them would have the potential to scratch and hurt Wu. As we saw from Mei, even if you are strongly connected with your red panda spirit, you can still get upset and lose control. There is also the possibility that the scar had nothing to do with the red pandas. It could have simply been an accident that happened to her when she was a child, or even as an adult long after trapping the spirit in her jade wristband. In my opinion, though, the scar seems to fit the storyline between Ming and her mother Wu, and the fact that it's something that haunts Ming would help explain why she tried so hard to have the perfect relationship with her daughter. She didn't want to risk causing a rift and pushing Mei away as Wu did to her, but in turn almost did exactly that. It would certainly be neat to find out how exactly Wu got her scar. I mean, the origin of the scar might not be important enough to be a focal point of any potential sequel for Turning Red, but it certainly adds a certain level of depth to Ming's storyline and her character. And it's definitely a big cause of the generational trauma that's been passed down from Wu to Ming to Mei. The concept of the scar is something that I feel like they could totally tackle in one of their animated short films, and a lot of fans would enjoy it. But what do you guys think? Did Ming cause the wound that turned into the scar on her mother's forehead? And if so, would you like to see a Pixar short that went into more detail about the accident? Be sure to let us know in the comments below. As for now, that's all, Disney fans. Let us know what video you'd like to see next in the comments, and like and subscribe for more magically packed videos.